Hello and welcome to Ask Amanda Now. This is our short Friday afternoon live session, heading out to the Your Strata Property Facebook page, also out to LinkedIn, also out to YouTube. I do have one question chosen from our list that has come through over the last 24 hours or so. We're not quite ready for the question yet, so we will get to it. Looking forward to having a quick chat with you. We are here most Fridays, sometimes a longer chat, sometimes a shorter chat. And there's, as always, lots going on in Strata. Definitely lots going on this week for our friends who are up in northern New South Wales, southeastern Queensland. We are all thinking of you. We are all checking in on you, our strata managers, our property managers who have been hustling. I have seen you hustling to get information out there to your clients to make sure that buildings are as secure as they can be at this time. The Australian College of Strata Lawyers annual conference was due to take place in Brisbane this week, over 3 days in Brisbane. Tuesday morning, the conference committee made the call to reschedule that conference. It was a tough call to make at that point, but we made it, putting the safety of our guests, our delegates, our members, our speakers first, and did turn out to be the right call. So that conference to be rescheduled. I, as always, will let you know when that's going to be. If those of you who couldn't make it this time around might want to join us at the new dates in Brisbane. But we watch and we wait and we check in on our friends, our family members, our colleagues. I've got people up there ticking all of those boxes, as I know many of you do as well, and wish them all the best. We're here to support them, to support you. If you've had a chance to tune in, if you fall into that category in northern New South Wales or southeastern Queensland and you are tuning in, then we're here for you. All right. So, yes, I'm on the road again. It is a short one here today to answer one strata question for you. We're ready to bring that question on up here on the screen. Thank you very much, team. This week's question that I have chosen to answer is from Rick. And I've chosen this question because I've had it a couple times this week. It came up in our members Q&A forum as well. Terminating a strata manager. So Rick's building is terminating their manager by mutual consent. That is possible under most of the agreements, strata management agreements that I have seen, both the strata manager and the building deciding that they want to part ways early. That's termination by mutual consent. And Rick's asking, may a committee opt to self-manage their strata? We're 13 lots, Rick tells me, as an interim for 2 months only. And a little bit of extra information that was in my inbox, Rick said, we're a good committee, we're engaged, we know what we're doing, we feel like we can do it. Is this possible? Is this legal? We're heading into an AGM where we're going to pass, in New South Wales, we need to pass a resolution to approve that termination by mutual consent, and we need to decide what is next for us. Great question. And as I said, not the first time that it has come up for me within the last week. We had a member in our forum who I think may have actually been a strata manager who was asking me, Amanda, I've got a new client who wants to engage me under a new contract. They're terminating their other strata manager and they're going to a meeting for the termination, but they haven't put on the agenda the motion to appoint me. So they're going to terminate their current strata manager, but they're not going to appoint anyone. So where does that leave them? Very similar situation to what Rick is asking about here. The short answer is yes. An owner's corporation, body corporate, wherever you are, whatever you may call it, is entitled to self-manage. You don't have to have a professional strata manager. That's certainly not the law. And looking at Rick's question, specifically asking, can a committee opt to self-manage? Well, if you have a committee appointed and you don't have a strata manager, then yes, those day-to-day management functions are essentially going to fall to the committee to fill in the role of the secretary, the role of the treasurer, and the chairperson. Those elected office bearers are going to have to jump in and fulfill those functions rather than having the strata manager there. And if you only want to do that on a short-term basis because you're facing one of these situations where you're terminating one contract at a meeting and you haven't decided who the next new replacement strata manager is going to be, you want a little bit of time maybe to go to market on that, to learn a bit more about the options that are out there, then yeah, you can do that for a short period of time. I do want to highlight maybe some practical difficulties with deciding to do this just for a short time. First of all, there may be a delay in getting your hands on your records, your books and records that are held by your current strata manager. And that includes part of your books and records, the things, your property, the things that belong to you, includes your money, the owner's corporation's funds that are going to be held in an account that is probably at the moment managed by your strata manager. And I know from sometimes bitter experience that this takes a little bit of time, this transfer process from one strata manager to another, or from a strata manager to a committee in a building that's chosen to self-manage. That process of handover of records, transfer of funds can take a little bit of time, may even take this couple of months that you are thinking, Rick, that you might want to be self-managing. So just bear that in mind, that you may not even get to the stage where you ease into a nice routine self-management because you spend the next couple of months navigating that handover, that transfer process. Hopefully this termination, as I can see, it's by mutual consent and it's all very amicable, and perhaps all of your records are in electronic form, so it's going to be easy for the strata manager to handle that over to the committee and that all goes smoothly. But you will need access certainly to your money, to the owner's corporation's funds, put it into a new bank account that you've set up to be able to keep things flowing, to be able to pay suppliers, to be able to engage contractors to keep doing work, to be able to direct owners to the bank account that they now need to be depositing their levies to. So there's a little bit of work in that. We have talked about the process of self-management on the podcast previously. That was my chat with David Glover, who has been doing an excellent job over many years assisting with the self-management of his building. I'll ask my team to swing back around here and post the link to my podcast chat with David Glover. If you're thinking about self-management, that's definitely a great one to tune into. Heading over to some of these comments, and I see your hellos there. I've just dived straight in here today. Hey, Wendy, good afternoon to Daryl. Bill and Ben's enjoying the rain near Lismore. Yeah, I'm thinking of you guys up there. Hope the Ark is ready to go. Yeah, hey, Sean. Hey, Chu. Daryl saying, can you just put the money in our individual bank accounts? We'll work out strata accounts later. That was a direct quote from an owner in an email this week who is part of a scheme that has decided to self-manage. Warning bells are ringing. Yeah. So explaining to, and I've sort of slowed down each time that I've said this today, explaining to owners that it's not your funds, it is the owner's corporation's funds. And the strata manager does need to be really careful about the transfer of those funds. Yes, they have to act promptly. There are obligations, at least in New South Wales, under the Property and Stock Agents Act, to be cooperative on a transfer. I was directing somebody to that schedule of the Property and Stock Agents Act in our forum just a couple of days ago. Strata managers must be cooperative in that transfer, whether it is to a new strata manager or whether it is back to the owner's corporation themselves. The money, if there's an account that the committee, the treasurer perhaps has already been able to set up, then you can give an instruction to your strata manager, transfer that money across. In my view, the treasurer can give that instruction. The treasurer has the function of receiving and banking and dealing with the owner's corporation's money. So an instruction from the treasurer to the strata manager to do that should be sufficient. And otherwise, an instruction to draw a check to the owner's corporation and to hand that over to the treasurer or to the person who's nominated by the committee to receive that check. If you don't yet have that bank account set up, then that should be sufficient instruction for your strata manager as well. So, Rick, if you're tuning in, let me know if that is helpful and if you had any other questions arising out of that one. The short answer is yes. 13 lot scheme. Look, sometimes it is easier to self manage in a smaller building. You don't have as much admin, perhaps, to deal with. Definitely check out that podcast episode. Thank you, team. I can see that posted in here now. It's episode 377, my chat with David Glover about why you might want to self-manage your strata. But as I said, this question does come up because, and it's something to be aware of if you're thinking about changing strata managers, appointing somebody new, please be aware of the expiry dates on your strata management contracts. Because if you're going into a general meeting where the current strata management contract is going to expire very shortly after that general meeting, the next day, even the next week after that general meeting, and you don't have a motion on that general meeting to appoint somebody new or to reappoint your current strata manager under a new contract, and you just don't deal with it, you don't appoint anyone, you're going to have this gap that I think Rick's community has stumbled across. You're going to have this gap in time where the current strata manager's contract comes to an end on the expiry date, and you haven't got anybody there to take over. And that strata manager whose contract has ended is perfectly within their rights to say, I no longer have a contract. I don't provide service to you. No, I don't send out contractors. No, I don't perform those functions of dealing with the accounts. No, I don't answer correspondence. That's it. I'm done. So, Owners Corporation, here are your records. Here is your money. It is ready for your collection, or at your direction, tell me who to send this to if you've engaged somebody new. Because we know that we have to engage a strata manager in New South Wales. We have to engage a strata manager at a general meeting. We need that ordinary resolution at a general meeting. And it can take a few weeks to convene a general meeting, especially if you're serving everybody or have to serve some people by post with those notices of meeting. If you're not serving everybody by email, then yeah, you need about 3 weeks at least to get those agendas out. So you may well have this transition period. Noticing here, Rick, as well, that you're talking about termination by mutual consent. I mean, it is possible if the dates are tripping you up a little bit, it is possible to seek agreement to for this termination to occur on a particular date that is perhaps 2 months after the general meeting at which you're passing that motion. So pass the motion at the general meeting to terminate, and the termination takes effect 2 months later, with the idea that within that 2 months, you're going to find a new manager that you're happy to appoint. You're going to have convened or be very close to convening that second general meeting to appoint that manager, and then you can tag team those managers nicely, and you're not going to have that gap where you have to be concerned about self-management. So that's an idea. Let me know how that lands with you, Rick. I can see here, just heading back up. Hey, Jen. Hey, Lee. Nice to see you. Mergo saying, Amanda, what's the best way to make contact with you? Feel free to send a private message through the page here, Mergo. Alan saying mutual consent. I can see compulsory appointment around the corner. Not necessarily, Alan. When people are unhappy with their strata management service, I always say the best thing that you can do is have a chat. Have a chat with your strata manager. Perhaps you've raised some concerns by email. Perhaps they haven't been addressed. So make an appointment to have a face-to-face, whether that's in person at the office or that's over a Zoom meeting. Have a chat with your manager. Perhaps bring in somebody who is a team leader or someone a little bit higher up if it's a bigger company. See if those concerns can't be resolved. And sometimes I find that when committees start having these kinds of chats with their strata managers, they learn that the strata manager is not all that happy delivering the service either, and is finding that perhaps the expectations of the owners are not in line with what the strata manager is able to provide. And that's how we end up with an agreement to terminate a contract by mutual consent. Both parties say, you know what, not for me. Let's agree to call it quits, even though we might still have a couple of years left on a contract. And I think that's a great result. I think that's very healthy, very professional, very grown up way of dealing with these kinds of situations. Cindy saying, I just did a comparison of 3 strata managers in a template of last year's financials to what comes forward in these parties as new. Insurance commission as an issue, clearly. Some say none, then there are shareholders in an insurance joint venture and hide it within the premiums. I hear you, Cindy. Yep, we're all been talking about that for some time now. Really, really important as you're doing to have a close look at those contracts. Sean is saying utilize the up to 3-month extension resolved by the Strata Committee. Yeah, great point, Sean. Thank you for raising that. So if your Strata management contract is coming to an end and you're at a bit of a scramble, we don't have somebody to replace the Strata manager, we haven't convened a general meeting to have a motion to engage a new strata manager or extend the contract, it is possible in New South Wales for a strata committee to resolve to extend that contract by a maximum of 3 months. And the strata committee can continue to extend that contract in 3-month increments up until the next AGM. The catch with this, and the important thing to be aware of, is that you cannot extend by committee resolution an expired contract. The number of times that I've seen this happen, you guys let me know if you see it too, that I have seen strata managers turn around and say to committees, oh, oops, your contract is expiring yesterday or has already expired, and we kind of overlooked that, and we need to make sure that we can continue managing you. So quick, let's convene a committee meeting and agree to extend the contract by 3 months. It's too late then, guys. It's too late. The contract has expired and you cannot extend an expired contract. You have to work pretty quickly to enter into a brand new contract if you want some continuity there in your strata management service. It raises real questions about the strata manager providing services under an expired contract, and what obligations had they had, what authority they had to make certain decisions and engage certain suppliers. Does become a bit of a mess if we're dealing with expired contracts or contracts that have expired by surprise. And I don't believe, in my view, tell me why I'm wrong, but in my view, we can't use that committee power to extend expired contracts. Okay, thank you, Sean. Always on the ball there. Robert saying we reappointed our strata manager last year. However, we did negotiate with them, got rid of commissions, but we pay a higher fee. In my opinion, everything is negotiable. And the next series of Strata Act amendments will make it even more so. All right, awesome. Curious saying, is it the same with building management? So not the extension point, as far as I'm aware. Sean M will let me know if I'm wrong, but not the 3-month extension point if your building management contract is going to be expiring, Kyria. That's specific to strata management contracts in New South Wales. But yeah, building managers will have terms, contract terms, and it's important to keep an eye on those, and for owners corporations in general meeting to be appointing their building managers. We definitely have that requirement. You do need a general meeting resolution. Okay. Lovely to jump in here and see you all. As always, more questions than I would ever have time to answer on the side of a road on a Friday afternoon. Thank you very much for sending them through. If you are a member inside the Your Strata Property online membership community, you know where to go to get your questions answered. That is our members Q&A forum. Jump in there, post your question. Let's dive deep on that one. Do a back and forth. Happy to consider all angles in our Q&A forum, as you're often asking me to do, and you do get my answers there in writing and links to any additional resources that will assist you. If you're not a member and you'd love for your question, today's question that you've popped in my inbox, or any other strata question that is on your mind, answered by me, a strata lawyer, join us inside the Your Strata Property membership community. The place to go to find out more, join us and get instant access to the forum is stratamembership.com. Stay safe, stay high and dry if you can. Thinking of you, all of our friends who are in the path of Cyclone Alfred. We will be watching closely. Please do reach out. Let us know if there's anything that we can be doing to help you. Those of you who have friends, colleagues, families, buildings who are in those areas, do check in on them and make sure that they're doing okay. I'll look forward to being back here with you next Friday for our Friday Live. It will be next week. Have a great weekend in Strata, everyone. Catch you later.